Hôm nay tôi sẽ nghe một tập của Little Bit Better, một trong những kênh rất là hay. Và bây giờ hôm nay tôi sẽ chọn cho mình một chủ đề, đó là Psychology of Money. Tôi rất thích chủ đề này. Yeah, let's go! Financial success has little to do with how smart you are and a lot to do with behavior. Have you ever wondered how this is a person with many academic achievements and less wealth, and other people don't even have studies? Human behavior is a determining variable in financial performance, from something as large as a country economy to the smallest, such as your personal finance. But at the same time, it is the most difficult aspect to analyze and understand. In this video, I'm going to summarize the most important chapters on a book called The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. Chapter 1. No one is crazy. The idea we have about how the word money works has little to do with what actually happens in the world, and a lot to do with the belief in that. And what you think about the way your work is highly influenced by your personal experience. And your personal experience depends on your immediate context. For example, it's very likely a person who lives in a country with an inflation crisis have very negative experience with the saving, and therefore they need to be spent everything in the short time. However, someone else who lives in a country with a stable currency thinks differently about saving and have a more optimistic outlook on this. This is how two equally intelligent people completely differently it's come to how to save invest money. Every decision people to make their money is justified by information they have at the time and connect to their unique mental model of how the world works. It's that we embrace our money, but no one is crazy. Our monetary decisions are based on unique experience that can only make sense to us at any given time. Chapter 2. Luck and risks. If you interview successful business people and ask them about success, they surely talk about hard work and a lot of sacrifice. That is the way that we would explain their success. And although this is true for them, the other side of the coin is either invisible variable it can be deciphered. Two of them are luck and risk. Don't get me wrong, this doesn't mean you don't have to try. This means effort is not only ingredient for success. For example, many people talk about Bill Gates' business success in innovations. There are even those who hold an example for to follow. But Bill Gates studied at Lakeside at the least private school in the 70s. This were the only schools in computer in the 1960s. The type of time was 33. This greatly influenced Bill Gates' interest in computing. He even got the permission from math classes so he could pursue his interest in computer science. Bill Gates himself admits he had been ability at the computer schools like Lakeside that would have been no Microsoft. Gates were his own brilliant student at the school with Tim Popov, Allen, and Ken Evans. They were friends. Everyone would have faced all three that is success, but Ken Evans did prematurely and accidentally before graduating. As you can see, these were determining events and fate, which were not under his control. We see the results, we don't see the complexity behind them. That is also the case with risk. We are not able to measure the risk a large investor assumes. We do not know how much risk investor assumes what company is successful today. Do we not know today companies business acquired betting on the future and beginning of business? This is not a simple problem. Difficulty is identifying what is due to luck, what is due to skill, and what is due to risk, and one of the biggest problems we face in is how to handle our money. The author gives 3 lessons that can help. 1. Not our success is due to hard work and not our failures. It's due to laziness. Keep in mind judging others and when judging yourself. 2. Do not look at exceptional classes or take it as a member example. The more exceptional results, the less compatible it is, because it's very likely extreme results that have been influenced by extreme case of luck or risk. 3. Nothing is good for a bad exams. Assuming the role that luck risk play in the results being 10 will help us to forgive ourselves and leave room to get trying into the games in our favor. Chapter 3. Never enough. When rich people do crazy things. That is very abstract. How rich do you want to become? How much is enough? There's one Iceland about 30 billionaires narrowly tended to acquire the curse from the Gates and just Howler. Rodriguez commented that the billionaires now made money in a single day. That's how it from the novel. Howler responded, yes, but I have something he will never have. Enough. There's a danger of never having enough. People can have it all, wealth, happy, valid property, and power. They can also take a chance to throw it away because they want to more. The author tells the story of Rajesh Gupta, who was an orphan during his teens, but years later go on to obtain a BBA from Harvard, become a CEO of the men's skincare company. In 2008, the value of his stake and reported $100 million, but Gupta won more and reproved it. In 2000, during the Goldman crisis, Warren Buffett decided to invest $5 billion in the bank to help it survive. Son Gupta is a member of Goldman Sachs board of directors. He got this information before the public did, so he decided to secretly agree by Goldman Sachs share before they rose, which got the Buffett investment. Gupta invested for insider trading. This is how he grew in reputation and his career, motivated by a degree of never having enough. In this chapter, author leaves some important lessons. 1. The most difficult financial skills is to make the goal stop drifting away. The goal set further and further, it takes for more wealth and power increases faster, and satisfaction and the red flag that alerts you abruptly about take more and more risks irrationally. True happiness is the sacrifices of having enough, not its constant expectation. 2. Social comparison is a problem. Comparing yourself with other unnecessary tortures you should avoid. There will always someone getting better results than you do. There will always be some higher ladder. Comparing yourself to them will steal your joys. Run your own race. 3. Real money things are not worth risking, regardless of the potential gain. Reputation is priceless. Freedom and independence are priceless. Family and friends are priceless. Being wealth the most you love is priceless. Happiness is priceless. If you want to keep all of them with you, you need to know when to stop taking risks and it can harm or disvalue things. Chapter 4. Compounding. There are many books investing and many are very good. That once I talk about how Warren Buffett made his fortune through investment. Buffett first reached $86.45 billion. Without doubt, are the phenomenal investor. That is something you not to be lose. Buffett isn't only good investor, but he also has been a good investor since he was just a boy. This is how more than 90% of the assets are accumulated after 50 years of age. Warren Buffett's gift is investing, but his secret is time. It is how compounding works. The lesson that's often what the text in the chapter is good investing is necessary about earning highest return. The highest return to be one of it that can be repeated. Good investment is about earning pretty good returns we can stick with. We can be repeated for long periods of time. And as Charlie Munger says, the first rule of compounding is never to interrupt it. It's necessary. In just life planning. In 1 year, you want to make progress. In 10 years, we will notice a difference. In 50, you will have created something extraordinary. But staying on the feet all the time requires to survive in the predictable ups and downs in life we are experienced over time. Chapter 5. Getting rich versus staying rich. Financial gurus talk about how to become rich, which had to make a boring topic for the people. But there's another thing that often lost from sight. It's not about just community things, it's capital. What about maintaining your wealth over time? The author agrees there's only one way to stay rich. It's combinations of frugality and paranoia. Frugality means using the resources wisely. The staying rich requires rehabilitation and the fears that when you earn are taken away lost. Chapter 6. You can be wrong half the time and still make a fortune. In this chapter, the author tells a story has a group who came to be admired for acumen investing in art. He managed to amass collections of valuable works of art. But the reality is, it's not superior insights, but ruins a large quantities of art, and of its only part became valuable art. This meant the brilliance wrong the most of the times, however, he managed to get it right. If you want to venture a You must understand the many things the words comply with editorial rule as principle. Seasoned investors, large companies expect that of 100 of their investment decisions, 80% will fail. If you see something achievement strategy as results that become famous influential, you must understand that evidence in thousand this is the stock market. Most are fair. Some work performance will only some will generate incredible returns. According to the author Warren Buffett admitted he illustrates more 400 different companies in his lifetime, but the most significant gains come from only 10 of them. Many large companies understand reality's life. For example, if you review all the series in Netflix unproduced, you will see that's only a few of them that has significant success. When you realize this, you can accept that it's normal for many things to or go wrong. Chapter 7, Freedom. The author tells story how by one day he wanted to become an investment banker because he was making a lot of money. He thought he would be happy once he worked on it. When he managed to work on investment bankers, he realized from day one they were making a lot of money. They work harder and for more control than any human being could bear. The author says authors in that job he felt important he was getting paid. There came to one time he no longer tolerated having become slave to a boss as he was forced to work every second of the working day. These were the most miserable days of his life. He was only to work like this for later a month. No matter how much you love activity, if it turns into something that's control of your time, you will end up hating it. The highest form of wealth is the ability to wake up every morning and say, I can do whatever I want today. We hear all the time we say, I want to be happy. But happiness is complex because we're all different. But there is the common denominator, universal flow of joy, is the ability to control their own lives. There are attempted money-making opportunities, but many are traps from which it becomes difficult to escape. Don't fall in love in endless cycle of earning money by losing our most precious values, freedoms. The ability to do what you want, when you want, with whatever you want, for as you want, it rises. Chapter 9. Wealth is you don't see. Some appear rich, what is it possible to know for sure that at first glance, you can be seeing only the tip of the iceberg. Don't be tempted by those flaws of the wealth. It seems stupid and wealth. Only ways to accumulate wealth is not spend it. Oftentimes, people say want to be a millionaire when it really means that we want to spend $1 million. But spending $1 million is literally the opposite of being a millionaire. The wealth is hidden. Wealth income that is saved, not spent. What's optionality and growth? Where's the ability to buy things as necessary? Spending is potential order of how much money you have, the fastest way to less money. Chapter 13, Room for Error. If you are able to imagine the possibility of your failures, you will fail. Because true failures it will come when you do not face setback on your entrepreneurship investment ventures. How do you face adversity if you never considered possibility or haven't prepared for it? Putting up your ass in investment bankers means you take a risk by bidding on just options. If you don't expand your investment portfolio, it means you're living room for error. That is you not being prepared for an adverse outcome, and that is true failure. If it's something you can break it will break. So if you put a lot of things depending on the performance of just one, you're counting the days of a catastrophe. One of the biggest mistakes with money relies solely on salaries to fund short-term spending needs, with no saving to protect you unexpected expenses in the future. We like to think that we're saving for something certain, like buying a car for retirement, but reality is we don't know what will happen tomorrow. We can't be sure what to spend and saving. This doesn't mean you should plan this. It means you should live for errors while planning. Chapter 14, you will change. Planning for long term is easier than actually because everything changes over time. Your world will change 10 years. The world is also changed. This should not be an impediment to making plans for the future, but a warning that helps you to do so with the necessary prudence and wisdom to avoid future regrets. The author tells story of friends who during her Australians always says he doesn't dream be a doctor, and though easy to conclude that he couldn't make it, but he did it with a lot of effort. A few years ago, the author again met friends who have a doctorate, but turns down now. That friend who thought he dreamed be a doctor was sorry for choosing that career, saying that was horrible. In psychology, there is a term called the end of history illusions, which means people are accurately aware of how much they changed in the past, but underestimate how much their personalities, desires, and goals are likely to change in the future. The reality is what you will change. You will never stop changing. The same way context is will change. This is said correctly and looking crazy in the future. Think about this, it comes time to plan your finances for the long term. Chapter 15. Nothing is free. Everything has a price, and our prices appear labels. The key is making financial decisions and figuring out what the price is and if you're willing to pay for it. What is the price of success? Are you willing to pay for it? Before making that decision, consider that most things are easier in theory than in practice. To be successful as an investor, you have to pay prices, but you not pay the prices with money. You pay with uncertainty, doubt, and fear related to market volatilities. Your investment is not free and never will be. Volatility, uncertainty, and cost of the management fees are to pay in a word. The secret is to accept it and accept it as a part of the deal and convince you the price is worth it. Do you want to start something? First, write down the prices and pay it. Chapter 16, You and I. You and I have a different genre. Our genres resides our visions of the world driven by own advantage. Take us a warning by following advice to step out others. In history, many financial bubbles have causing a massive damage to the wealth of many investors and ruining entire families. A common demonstration of financial bubbles of those investors innocently follow significant other investors who play different games and their own and inevitably fall into the trap. Long-term investors and short-term investors have different agendas. Be careful making investment decisions based on someone else's step. Given this author recommends everything possible to identify what game you are playing. Each investor must be choosing strategies that best chance of successfully meeting objectives. Chapter 17. The Seductions of Pessimism. Have you noticed many people seem to show a lot of trusting in strategies management of the progress of disaster? Is there people like the heroes that are worse in go to hell? Pessimism is the order of the days. This is because pessimism sounds so modern. The author mentions at the time the worst stress exerted operated by a Russian professor. This article looked like the Arabian movie, wording by 2010, the United States of America would be divided, Alaska would become a Russian control, California would become a colored republic and would be under Chinese influence and a colored prophecies. This article published a front a page and realistic newspaper. Pessimism is natural and evolutionary. Every organism stress test is something urgent or more likely to survive and reboot. However, optimism is the best bet for people because the worst has already tended to get better for most people most of the time. The reality is that desire to survive in the pursuit of profits drive people to seek solutions amid adversity. In the context necessary, innovations will here because necessary is the mother of all innovation. Imagine that you're a Japan, a few days after being destroyed by the defeat of World War II, and read an article in Japan will become one of the world's leading economies. What would you think? Maybe you believe it, or maybe you're optimistic, she said. But this came true. Japan managed to recover and become a world power after having hit rock bottom. As you can see, sooner or later, solutions you hear and the people respond to problems and adversity. This is the one important driver of economic recovery and was ignored by pessimists. Without optimism, it's impossible for people to create solutions to problems. This is for the of this video. If you want to see more summarized finance books, then check out the playlist you see on the screen right now. Thanks for watching. Woo!